Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Franchise Interviews. For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 6 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews. And we have a great show today. We're meeting with Mary Kennedy Thompson, the president of Mr. Rooter of the Dwyer Group. We're meeting with Paul Martino from A&W Restaurants, and Paul Martino is the chief operating officer of A&W, and Keith Gerson from FranConnect. And today we're going to be talking about franchising and technology. We'll be talking about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing, helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 6 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Mary Kennedy Thompson, the president of Mr. Rooter. We're also meeting with Paul Martino, A&W Restaurants, and Paul is the chief operating officer of A&W. And we're also meeting with Keith Gerson of FranConnect, the president of Global Operations. Hi, Mary. Hi, Paul. Hi, Keith. How are all you doing today?
Hi, Mark.
It's great to have all of you on at the same time today. This is definitely a privilege for me. Keith, I've had you on this show before, and as you know, I'm glad that you came back. We had you on the show last year, and you promised you would come back and talk about all the updates going on at FranConnect. And Paul, I've always wanted to have A&W on the show. I think this is the first time we've had you on the show, and we've been doing this show now 6 years, so it's a privilege for me. And Mary, for me, you know, speaking to you is like speaking to a celebrity, actually. I think we've mentioned you on the show probably about 10 times over the last 6 years, so again, it's an honor to speak with you as well.
Thank you, Marty.
My pleasure. So, you know, let's start off with technology, and we'll talk about, you know, what are some of the most common tech or operational challenges franchise brands face today. And Mary, I guess you want to go first, ladies first.
Oh, thank you. Certainly. You know, I just had an interesting conversation today about technology and where our challenges are, and it's twofold. One is when our franchisees come in, oftentimes part of the reason they come into your brand is that they want to grow and learn, and they haven't probably kept up on the technology side. So one of the challenges is educating and helping them get up to speed so that they can jump in on the brand's technology side and use it to its fullest potential. And then the second challenge really comes from keeping everybody trained and up to date on what's changing. We've got some exciting things that we're doing with our technology. Half of what we do has to be making sure everyone understands how to use the technology.
Of course, yeah, and I think that is well said. And it seems, you know, technology is moving so fast today, isn't it, Mary? I mean, I know you've been doing this a while now, but it seems like it's moving faster today than ever, isn't it?
It is, and it. I think what happens is, you know, I always use this analogy. When I used to use Microsoft 2003, it wasn't a better program. 2007 was a better program than 2003, but I got used to it, and I knew how I liked it. And so when I moved to 2007, I complained bitterly because I had to learn a new way, even though it was a better program. And and now it just changes so much faster.
It sure does. Paul, how do you feel about that?
Well, we're in a unique situation. We have a brand that's been around for a really long time. And we have franchisees that are generational, second, third generations. I was just out in Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago talking to some folks that have owned their franchise, their restaurant for 50 years.
That's amazing.
They're going on 51 years
Wow.
this year. So, you know, talking to some of these old-time franchisees, and these folks were 70 or 80 years old, 79, 80 years old. You start talking to them about technology, and their eyes roll around their head. So we have some very, very unique challenges with some of our franchisees that have been around for a long time, and some of them, and this is a little flippant, but are still working out of cigar boxes. So our challenges are a little bit more basic because we've been around so long and we have a lot of generational franchisees. Our challenges are just trying to get them into this century. And our first challenge when we acquired the business back from Yum late 2011 was Yum, this big, huge company with tons and tons of sophisticated database management software and basically just dumped all of this information in our laps in spreadsheet form, and had no real viable means of communicating with franchisees with the A&W brand, and no way to bring them up to date, even up to date with the KFCs and the Long John Silvers and the Pizza Huts and Taco Bells of the world. So that was our challenge, just kind of bring them into this century, and that's kind of where FranConnect helped us out quite a bit.
Absolutely. Do you want to expand on that, Keith? Or?
Yeah, I would. You know, both make great points in terms of, you know, keeping up to date and how fast it moves. What we're seeing on our side is the tendency sometimes for franchisors to with nothing but the best of intentions to address it with yet more technology solutions, and the desire to keep on top of trends and and that the search for the silver bullet, which I think we all know really doesn't exist. And so part of the challenge is that sometimes we've just given too many technology solutions, and that it's difficult for these various platforms to play well together. You just have too many disparate systems.
Well
so it can
said.
become a veritable data overload.
Keith, you make an interesting point. We always liked the way Southwest Airlines did it. They always fly a 737, and you can challenge and ask yourself, is the 737 the best airplane out there? I don't know. It depends on what you think of a 737, but it's their airplane, and they train on it, and they keep focused. What I like about FranConnect is it's our airplane, and we don't have to reinvent or teach people as technology gets faster and faster. This is where we go, and just like in Southwest Airlines, when the flight attendant goes on that airplane going from Dallas to Phoenix, and someone else goes from Phoenix to back to Dallas, they don't have to know different systems because it's the same airplane. And we find that connection with our franchisees really helps.
Yeah,
right on, Mary.
So, Keith, maybe you could talk a little bit about what technical innovations have emerged to improve franchise systems and also franchisees' profitability.
Certainly. I think one of the most exciting changes that we're seeing is in terms of the marketing technologies that can now exist and can be put onto one centralized and integrated system in which all of the other various technologies now create the opportunity to give transparency to franchisors in terms of where and how their franchisees are executing their marketing programs and systems, as well as giving a total visibility to where ROI is coming from, so franchisors continue to help their franchisees to starve the things that aren't working and to focus all their energies on the ones that will get them the greatest ROI. I also want to add that one of the other technologies that we're very excited about on our own platform is PerformanceWise, which is a performance system that is designed to help franchisees execute at a much higher level while giving visibility and feedback to operations consultants and field support in terms of with trigger-based alerts as to when programs are falling behind and franchisees really need to shift their focus to where they'll get the greatest returns for their efforts. So execution and marketing, I think, are really just where some of the greatest innovations are currently coming in.
I think you mentioned that last time when you were on the show, too. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
No, I'm sorry. And that's where we're really using FranConnect, is really our field consultants and having a clearinghouse of data, if you will, to be able to more quickly figure out how and where our franchisees can make the best, how we can make a best impact in helping our franchisees improve their profitability.
I think last time I had you on the show too, Keith, we were talking about, the challenges of execution. Execution has always been a problem, hasn't it, as far as, implementing technology. I think the statistics were pretty high, wasn't it? Yeah,
they were quite convincing in terms of the need to really pay attention to really executing the fundamentals of the business. But let's face it, the franchisee's capacity, which has always been very, very demanding, is becoming even greater now. There are so many new initiatives and technologies and things that just didn't exist before. So besides, physical location and office staff and customer issues, et cetera, now you have to think about cause efforts and social media and acquisition campaigns and everything else on top. So I think execution has always really been a challenge that doesn't get as addressed as much as it needs to, and it's going to become even more of a focal point moving forward if you don't have systems and processes in place to be able to make it easy to execute these programs.
Plus, as Paul was pointing out, nowadays a lot of our teams telecommute, and we may have one person in one building and another person in another state and another person in another building that's working with our franchisee. And what technology allows us to do is have a single insight into that franchisee to be able, what I can see from my computer, my telecommuter can see from his, the person in my marketing department that's helping them work on their marketing plan can see that, and the franchisee can see it. And so we're all seeing the same thing, and we are all consistent on the same message, which I think that we get more dispersed. We forget that.
Spot on, yeah. There's so much information and data out there, and you can get lost in that sea of data and have it all in one place. That when our field consultant is out, I was just out in visiting with some folks out in Omaha, Nebraska, which is, by the way, very flat and not much out there. I'm just happy I found a cell phone signal. But they have 12 restaurants out there, and in my travel with my field consultant, we were able to look at some of the initiatives they put in place about 2 months ago and get to see instantaneously what the impact that had on their business, how they were doing against their marketing initiatives. We got on a conference call with 12 of their restaurant managers, and we were able to speak intelligently about how their current marketing initiatives were producing the results that their ownership were looking for. We didn't have that at all 8 or 9 months ago. It was a great thing to have in your back pocket, and I think that the franchisees really appreciate the fact that you have that information. You're all talking the same language, and you can help assist with what to do with that information.
That's fantastic. Paul, maybe you could take this one too. And I think I know the answer to this one, but how much of an impact does technological advancements have on franchise brands' ability to grow?
Well, I think, first and foremost, it's all about profitability and return on investment. And in our environment, for example, I was out in Montana 3 weeks ago. We have restaurants that are 3-4 hours apart. So when you're a franchise consultant and out there on the road, having this information at your fingertips and able to look at your some of your operations reports, some of your marketing reports, some of your sales trends. When you get on site, you can better make use of that data again to help the franchisee. They're looking for one thing and one thing alone: how they can be more profitable, how they can grow top line sales, and how they can reduce below the line expenses. And technology helps you do that. We had a conversation in the car, 10 years ago, and you're mapping out a trip to a particular market. Without a GPS, you spend an hour putting together your trip, and you get back to your hotel room at 9, 10 o'clock at night. Then you upload your computer, upload your emails, and spend a couple hours responding to your emails. Now, you're on the road, you're driving, you're on a plane. You can respond to emails while you're driving. You can your GPS directs you where to go. Technology's been a great thing in so many ways.
I watched one of my franchise consultants coming back from a trip, and when you have your coaches and your franchise field experts that are working with your franchisees, you need them to be as not just effective but efficient as possible, so that they can spend their effective time really in front of the franchisee, coaching and working with them. And I was heading back with one of my franchise consultants, and on their iPhone, on FranConnect, in the Franchise Information Manager module, pulled up to put their notes in, pressed the record button, typed their notes in by talking in, and said, visited this shop, talked about these 3 things. Point 1 is this, point 2 is this, point 3 is this, and hit save. And inside of literally minutes, did a report that used to take an hour. You'd have to get at your desk. You'd have to go find your notes. You'd have to remember what you talked about. You'd have to key it in. And technology allows us to be more efficient so we can be more effective where we're best being effective.
And our marketing people on the ground in the office are looking at that same data when they get a call from a franchisee. And hey, I understand Kevin just visited your restaurant yesterday, and here were some of the challenges that he said that you saw, and here's how I can help you with them. And that information is instantaneous, and it really helps with the whole efficiency piece.
That's fantastic. Keith, do you want to add anything to that?
Okay. Data. It also helps you mine your data better, because one of the things that we found is we were drowning in data. We had plenty of data, but we couldn't figure out the best ways to pull it up effectively so that we could see what's happening on a trend. And it allows you one place, you're used to it. Even as you add new reports or add new information in, you're used to that pattern, and you can go in and really drill down on your data quickly to find what the problem is.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point, Mary. That is a problem. Of course, with all the technology, is we have just so much data today. The ability to be able to find it, right at your fingertips, I think is so important. So I'm glad you emphasized that. Did you want to expand on that, Keith, a bit, or?
Well, when you framed your question, you also asked whether or not it makes a brand more marketable or attractive to new and existing franchisees. And I would just add that I'm reminded of the old commercials that they used to have regarding Intel Inside. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes when a franchisee is evaluating a system, they really are relying on, but they're not totally certain necessarily what that infrastructure might look like. And so I think that the ability that both Mary and Paul's franchises are able to really represent is that they have a solid support structure that's something tangible, that's something that's more than just the invisible haircut, so to speak, that you pay for before you know what you're getting, that there's actually evidence of the fact that they've got programs and systems in place to be able to support a franchisee through all phases of the franchise relationship. And if somebody coming into a franchise system thinks that they really only need help when they're new and just getting started, nothing could be further from the truth, because the fact is what gets you here doesn't get you to the next level. And they are both in very, very competitive industries, but they exceed and they outcompete because they really have thoughtful systems in place that challenges them and challenges their franchisees to constantly do better. And I don't think that could be overlooked, and therefore I think that they are highly more marketable and attractive as a result of having these types of technologies and solutions in place.
That's fantastic. Mary, how would you describe the relationship with FranConnect?
Oh, it's great. They're very collaborative. They help us sometimes see some things that maybe we don't see. They listen to what we say we're seeing, and they have a good approach to it. I think about how we run our sales team now. It used to be you'd have a form, it'd have to be walked over, we'd have to look at it, sign it, someone else have to walk it back over. You had this paperwork trail that it was hard to even keep track of. If I was traveling, I struggled with that. Now I can go in, I can look at where we are on every single lead, what conversations have been had. I can approve while I'm traveling and have full insight into it. And they really helped us up our game in better understanding our processes and really understanding where we could be better in our processes to shorten that time. They've been very good to work with, and I think about on the sales side, when we do what most people call a discovery day or an orientation, I pull up FranConnect Live. And we have people on our team that say, let us share with you some of our technology. Let us show you the portal into where you have access 24/7. Keith was talking about this, how you can get into it, what you see, what's at your fingertips. I always talk to them about when I was a franchisee, I got about 12 manuals. They stood about a foot high. Once a quarter, my franchisor would send me 12 pages that had to be, change page 75 with this page and change, and I just found it excruciatingly painful. Now every manual is up to date. Everything that they have is clear and done, and they just go on, and when they're looking at that document, it's the most up-to-date document.
That's fascinating.
They've made that an easier process.
That is fascinating. Paul, have you had a similar experience?
Yeah, well, we're on the front end. We started a relationship late last year with FranConnect. We had some different challenges, again, because of the uniqueness of our brand. One of the specific challenges that we had, that FranConnect was so patient with us, and that was we had, at last count, 32 different operating periods in our franchise community. Fiscal year starting in January, 13 periods starting in June, 445s, all these different reporting periods, and we needed a way that we could collapse those so that so that, again, our field people could look at reporting results and make some sense out of it. So they took the bull by the horn and helped us with this. Our franchise community is not going to change their reporting period just because we have some new technology. So they really helped us get through some of that uniqueness to our brand, and very collaborative. Always someone there to help us through the implementation. They did a great job of getting our very small team up to speed, and then cascading it down through our field organization. So I was very impressed with the process that they took us through to get us to where we are today. And we're just scratching the surface of FranConnect capability, and we hope to continue moving forward with them.
That's fantastic. Keith, as someone is very interested in entrepreneurship, how did you come up, with all of these ideas to satisfy these needs for the franchisors and the franchisees? Is it your background? If I recall, I think you did have a background in both, weren't you? Were you a franchisee and a franchisor?
Well, yes, but you are correct. But credit to where credit is deserved. FranConnect has been a leader and around in the franchising space for the past 13 years.
I agree. Yeah.
And I actually had the ability to enjoy the FranConnect system as a client, as I spent over 35 years leading franchise organizations on the franchisor side. So I was attracted to FranConnect, frankly, because it gave me the opportunity in terms of a legacy to be able to make a contribution on a much bigger scale than I could ever do as a CEO of my own company. So I'm really thrilled and so happy with the comments that both Paul and Mary have made. I wish I could take credit for it, but what I can tell you is that where the rubber really meets the road and where and how FranConnect continues to develop these terrific technology solutions is by making a study of best practices in franchising, from having great clients such as the Dwyer Group and the A&W that are active and willing to continuously push the envelope and to continuously ask for additional solutions to the pervasive problems that most franchisors are facing. So if it weren't for all of our great clients who continue to give us suggestions and ideas on where and how to be better, I don't know that we'd be the leader that we are. So thanks to them and to all of the other clients that we have that are so vested in their continued growth and that challenge themselves to do better.
That's well said. So, Mary, what are your goals for your relationship with FranConnect?
Well, my goal on all relationships are 1% better tomorrow than today, 1% better today than yesterday. And so we, instead of trying to make 20% jumps overnight, let's just do 1% every day, and we're going to get to where we need to go. So, in fact, Keith and his team are coming down to meet with our Vice President of Operations and look to see where are we using the system, where we're doing a good job using it, and where is it that we could do a better job using that system. And I think that in all relationships, business and otherwise, it's an ongoing daily communication, ongoing daily review, and to look at, what is that 1% for tomorrow? What is, maybe there's something, we find this even in the software that our franchisees use, to run their dispatching, is that what in the system are you not using that's already here?
Right.
And so for us, I would say, I know there's something in that system that we're not fully engaged in using, and let's figure out what it is and use it.
That's well said. Paul, how do you feel about that? What are your goals for your relationship with FranConnect?
Well, we're getting ready to start growing again. A&W has been fairly stagnant for the last 10 years. We've developed a new growth vehicle that we're actually under construction in Lexington, Kentucky, where our headquarters is. We've got 3 pieces of real estate that we hope to open in the next 2 or 3 months. So our goal is to hopefully leverage FranConnect's expertise in technology to help us grow this brand. Our goal is to, over the next 5 years, to build another 250 A&W restaurants and make this brand relevant again. And we really
great.
think that FranConnect can help us do that in both the sales and the execution side of this business.
That's fantastic. And Keith, I guess I could ask you the same question. I mean, what are your goals for your relationships, with Mary and Paul and your other clients as well?
Well, I will mirror each of their sentiments. It is on us to continue to support them and to ensure that they are able to get as much uptake and engagement from their corporate staffs as well as their franchisees as possible, to continue to be a good strategic partner in really just making a constant study and being more than just a technology provider, but somebody that's in many ways in the trenches with them to help them get to that point that they can help their franchisees be as successful as they possibly can and maximize their profitabilities and satisfaction.
We found technology has to be woven through everything we do. It's woven in the fabric of our organization at this point. And so you have to make sure that the weave is tight and that you're using it in all parts of that. And when we start having technology issues, almost always it's because we're not keeping it woven into everything we do.
That's interesting. What about the future plans, Mary, for the Dwyer Group? I mean, the Dwyer Group has such a strong brand name. Mr. Reuter has such a strong brand name. What are your future plans for the company?
Well, as you know, the Dwyer Group has our 7 brands. Where anything that you need done in your home, we probably can come do. Anything from electrical work to restoration work. On Mr. Reuter, we've got some exciting things. What we've started to look and see is that as we grow, we've had a very good growth year this year, and the last few years have been very strong for us as we've seen us come out of what most people call the Great Recession, but I like to call the crappy recession because I'm a plumber. What we've seen is that we've got to get all the way down to our technicians level with technology. We are arming all of our technicians with iPads, and now everything with their interaction with the customer is done on an iPad, and it's done making sure that we are capturing every step of that customer experience so that we can leverage it, we can give the best service to the customer, and we can give them the transparency on their service that customers are insisting on these days.
That's fantastic. And Paul, how about yourself in A&W?
Well, we've spent the last year, I guess, detangling from Yum's ownership, and we've had a very, very successful year. We've beaten the industry trends. I think we ended up last year about positive 5% in our year-over-year sales growth, and we're 18 out of 20 months since acquisition of positive sales growth versus last year. We're very, very excited about our new prototype. Again, we're building that in Lexington, Kentucky, and we're excited again about making A&W relevant again and starting this growth spurt that we're preparing for.
That's fantastic. Hey, Keith, what's next for FranConnect? Every time I talk to you, it seems like there's a lot going on with the company, and you're growing.
There sure is. It's exciting to be with an organization that is constantly looking ahead and actually working on solving problems that haven't even necessarily been identified today. And so we're working on, besides getting more uptake of the new systems that we introduced, such as Incubator and PerformanceWise, we're also working on next levels of engagement, next levels of communication, and the automation of tools to help with customer creation, satisfaction, and retention.
That's fantastic. Mary, what's the best way for our listeners to get more information on the Dwyer Group or Mr. Reuter? Any specific websites you'd like them to go to?
Yes, a couple of places. You can go to MrReuter.com and learn all about how we like to interact with our customers and why plumbers protect the health, welfare, and safety of a nation. And you can also go to the DwyerGroup.com and learn more about all my sister companies and all the things we do. I think what we do most importantly at the Dwyer Group is we have a set of values. We call it our code of values, and we refer to it as living rich with respect, integrity, customer focus, and having fun in the process. And that what we do is we help our franchisees live better and happier lives by introducing systems and processes that help them build better professional and personal lives, and that's more important than anything else we could possibly do. And so if you go to the DwyerGroup.com or Leading the Service Industry, you can learn a lot more about us.
That's fantastic. And Paul, how about yourself? Any websites you want to plug?
A&WRestaurants.com. You can find out where your nearest root beer stand, A&W Restaurant is, and visit one of 719 locations around the country.
Wow, that's fantastic. I was in New Jersey over the weekend, and I passed a bunch of them, Paul, so I was excited to, once again, have you on the show as well. And Keith, was it FranConnect.com? Is that correct?
That's correct, Marty, as well as Captivate.com and Zcubator, ZCUBATOR.com for different types of solutions within our vast platform.
That's fantastic. I want to thank you again, Mary, Paul, and Keith, and to have you on the same show at the same time. For me, again, I've been doing this show almost 7 years now. It is truly a privilege. So I would love to have all of you back, and I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks,
Marty.
Paul. Thanks, Keith. And we'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchisers, are you looking to reach aspiring entrepreneurs looking to buy a franchise? Are you looking to reach a highly educated audience on franchising? For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, FranchiseInterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys, and our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to FranchiseInterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Need a business loan? Talk to Diamond Financial Services, the experts in franchise financing nationwide. Whether you're looking to start a franchise, acquire an existing franchise, or expand your territory through opening new locations, Diamond Financial stands by your side start to finish. From pre-qualification to packaging and presenting your application to securing a financial commitment and through the loan closing process, Diamond Financial is there. While you're waiting, thousands of others are making their financial dreams come true. Don't wait any longer. Pre-qualify now by completing a confidential, no-obligation financial analysis. Let's face it, traditional banks just aren't in the business of financing small business. At Diamond Financial, we specialize in securing franchise loans from $100,000 to $3 million and equipment leasing up to $150,000. Let us help you get started. Go to www.franchisefunding.net or call 877-508-2274. That's franchisefunding.net, 877-508-2274.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. And today's podcast is being brought to you by Franchise Times Magazine. Franchise Times is the only magazine that targets both franchisors and multi-unit franchisees and is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise. You know, Don and I have been hosting Franchise Interviews now over 4 years and over 200 shows, and during that time we've had some incredible quotes on our show. The nice thing about hosting Franchise Interviews is we're frequently asked to be guests on radio shows and magazine interviews on the topics of entrepreneurship and franchising. And today you're going to get to hear an interview that we did 6 months ago on CBS Radio with Lynn Johnson on her motivational talk show. And of course the topic was entrepreneurship and franchising. And here's what we said. I think you guys will enjoy it.
Hey, did you ever think about buying a franchise? Do you think that now is the worst time to buy one? Or you're not sure whether anyone would loan you money to purchase a franchise? How does the whole thing work? Well, let's find out. We have an expert on the line. Marty McDermott.
Hi, Coach Lynn. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well. It's always great to talk to you. I always feel like it's a World Talk reunion, right? We get together.
I know. We started out, guys, a very long time ago. I think we're some of the only people left, aren't we?
I know. It's amazing, isn't it? But it's just, and it seems like yesterday that we started, Lynn. You know?
It really does.
It's just incredible. But it's the success that you've had is just wonderful to watch, though. I mean, it's just incredible.
Thank you so much. And yours has been pretty fantastic. You know, Marty, just over the break, when I announced that you were going to be here talking about franchises, I got a tweet from Alice and a lot of other people, but I selected Alice's tweet.
Oh, good.
Because she says that her family has owned the same bagel shop for over 35 years.
Wow.
But now they're going to have to close because the business has slowed and their debts are too high. She wonders if setting up her own franchises could save their business. So, Marty, I know you're an expert and you host that wonderful show called Franchise Interviews on Blog Talk Radio.
That's right.
Are franchises for everyone?
Oh, great question, Lynn. It's a deep question, and definitely not. In fact, you know what? If I can quote my friend Dr. John P. Hayes, franchising is not for everyone, and it's probably not for most people. And when I say that, you know, the first time I heard that phrase, Lynn, I was a little confused because I said, if franchising isn't for everyone and it's not for most people, then who could it be for? You know, it's but franchising is really for someone who knows how to follow rules, follow systems. They're not a true entrepreneur. When I say that, sometimes franchisees get upset because they say, what are you talking about? I consider myself an entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is really the person that actually creates the franchise opportunity. And, you know, when you're talking about franchisors or entrepreneurs, they're really, and you know this, Lynn, they're very creative people. You know, they can look at something.
They could never follow rules, Marty.
Exactly, and they could just create something out of anything, you know. Franchisees, and it was funny because I was in Virginia at George Mason University on Friday talking about this topic, and one of the topics I was talking about was military being good candidates for franchises because they know how to follow a system, you know. So you really have to know how to follow a system, like to follow rules, and if you can't do that, then it's probably not for you. And so, yeah, it's always a word of caution before getting into franchising.
Now, I know that you say that there are two key factors that should be present before you consider buying a franchise. What are those factors?
Well, it depends. There's a lot of different things. I mean, one is, what do you want the franchise to do for you? And, you know, for example, like, I'll give you an example. I like Dunkin' Donuts. You know, I frequent Dunkin' Donuts probably several times a week. And as much as I like Dunkin' Donuts and the coffee and the donuts, I wouldn't be a good franchisee for that type of system, because when you buy into a Dunkin' Donuts, you're working some pretty hefty hours.
True.
You know? So one of the questions you have to ask yourself is, what's important to you? You know, you're really taking a deep assessment. And for me, you know, my family is most important to me. So if I wasn't, you know, with my family or my son, like if he has a baseball game one day or whatever it is, I'm going to get very frustrated, even if I'm making a lot of money. You know, so you want to ask yourself, what do you want this franchise to do for you, and you know, what kind of system is the best match for you? There's so many choices out there today, Lynn. I mean, there's like 80 different industries franchising. Yeah, a lot of people, when they just think of franchising, they just think of food, but it's actually up to about 80 different industries. There's accounting franchises, there's advertising franchises, there's shoe repair franchises, you name it. It seems like they have it, you know. So you really have to ask yourself, you know, what's the best match for you? It's a lot of research. And, you know, of course you come down to the financials, too. And, you know, I mean, you know, McDonald's, as successful as it is, it's almost a home run every single time you have a McDonald's franchise. I can't afford one, you know. So the financial aspects are always a big factor as well. I think to go even deeper, I think you need family support. I think that's important as well, you know. I mean, if you're married, I think you have to have that support from your husband or your wife,
before you get into an opportunity as well, because you're taking them along for the ride with you.
I love that you said that, Marty.
Absolutely.
Do you know what you said? You said you need the support from your husband, which would infer that a woman could easily go in and buy a franchise. I love that.
Absolutely. Well, you know, you can see the influence my wife has on me too. I guess she's got me trained, Lynn. You know, and she's a fan of your show, by the way, too. You know, so you can tell I listen. You know, but absolutely. But it's so true. And you know, speaking of women, Lynn, I mean, they really do make fantastic entrepreneurs. You know, I mean, it's amazing. I think for the first time, you know, I teach for Kaplan University.
Yes.
And we have in colleges for the first time, there's more women in college today than there are men.
And they're older as well.
They're older, you know. So what does that say to you? You know, is there's a lot of exciting trends that are taking place here in the United States. So.
Now, I wanted to ask you about this because I know that they just announced that even Ritz Camera is going to be closing many, many, many of their stores, and I'm kind of heartbroken about that because I'm an amateur professional photographer.
Right.
But my question is, so how do you know if the franchise that you're interested in is even going to be around in the next 5 years?
Wow, it's a great question, you know, and nothing is ever 100% certain. I will say this, that not all franchises are created equal. And what you can do is, I mean, look at the company's track record for one. You know, one of the things that you can look at is their franchise disclosure documents and look at the history of the company. Some companies that just started franchising, I mean, they haven't really been around very long, you know, so you're kind of taking a chance in a way. You know, and you can look at how many franchisees they have and things like that. I think there's certain franchises that are always going to be around. I think McDonald's will always be here. They have like 33,000 units. Subway has about 33,000 units. So those ones are pretty safe. It's almost a home run every single time. So there is always that element of risk involved, even when you are buying into a franchise system. You know, of course, you can look at things like the market and things like that and kind of make your own assessments. But
so, Marty, with all that you know, because I have 1 minute left, and I definitely want them to come and listen to you because I love your show on Blog Talk Radio.
Thanks so much, Lynn.
And I want them to check out your work. It's very, very important. Are franchises still a viable option even with this economic downturn?
Most definitely. I mean, I think, Lynn, and this is going to sound a little weird, is, you know, one of the interesting effects of the recession I see now is some of the best offers in franchising.
Interesting.
I mean, and I've been doing this 10 years now. I mean, I'll give you a couple quick examples. Some franchisers, what they're doing is they're reducing or dropping a franchise fee for their new franchisees. Now, that's pretty significant because a franchise fee usually goes for about $40,000. So they're waiving that. In some cases, there's 2-for-1 deals where if you buy one franchise, they'll drop the franchise fee for the second one.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so it's really, you know, and that's the effect that I've noticed from the recession is really some incredible deals. Even the landlords right now, and I mean, you've noticed there's a lot of great locations available right now.
Yes.
I think, I mean, you want to get those locations because, I mean, a great location can really overcome bad marketing, you know, and there's going to be a lot of people kicking themselves next year. They're going to say, I should have got into that opportunity last year when they waived the franchise fee, when I could have got this killer location in this particular spot. And, you know, landlords are sometimes more willing to give a great lease to a franchise as opposed to, let's say, Tony Subs, who's just like a regular guy. You know,
so somewhere Tony's saying, hey!
Exactly. Tony's upset. But, you know, so they're really getting some incredible deals right now. I think that this is the most exciting time to get into franchising. But again, you know, to quote you, you know, franchising isn't for everyone. It's not for most people. You do have to really do your homework. It's not guaranteed every single time. And, you know, not all franchises are really created equal. There are some that are better than others.
Well, Marty, it's a pleasure to hear your voice and talk to you again.
It's a pleasure to hear your
and
voice, too.
Where
I
can
love you,
my...
I think you're great.
Thank you. I love you, too.
Thanks, Coach Lynn.
Where can my people hear you, do business with you, and all those wonderful things?
Absolutely. Go to franchiseinterviews.com. You can hear over, I think we're up to 160 shows, Lynn, recorded up to this point. Yeah, so it really, when I say that number, I mean, it just really, it tickles my spine because I didn't think that there was going to be a market for this, or we'd find like a listening base for it. But I mean, every single month we have more listeners, just like you know. So I haven't quite achieved your success yet, but someday.
Well, thank you so much, Marty, and go check him out. Franchise interviews on Blog Talk Radio. My dear old friend from World Talk Radio.
Thanks
Marty
so much, Lynn.
McDermott.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, prosper.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Here it is.
Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next week with another edition of Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.